Bayer, Bach, Brackett, Buckner-Webb, Cameron, Davis, Durst, Fulcher, Getty, Guthrie, Hagedorn, Hyder, Hill,
Here.
Johnson, Keogh, Lacey, Lakey, Lodge, Martin, McKenzie, Mortimer, Nonini, Nuxall, Patrick, Pierce, Rice, Schmidt, Sidaway, Stennett, Thane, Tibbetts, Vick, Work, Winder, Bear, Brackett, Lodge, McKenzie, Pierce, Winder,
Roll call shows 33 present, 2 absent or excused. The quorum being present, the Senate is in order. Senate will advance to the second order of business, prayer and pledge of allegiance. We'll be led in prayer again today by our Senate chaplain, James Wibberding. We invite our friends in the gallery to stand and join with us in prayer.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, these senators and their leadership and the various Senate staff have gathered again today for the day's work. Day by day, I ask you to bless them, and I know that you do. Today, I ask that again. But I also have a more personal request. As each one of these fine public servants endures the rigors and challenges of being away from home, and as they endure the strain of the tasks at hand, I pray that you will strengthen them, encourage them, and ultimately give them joy in the journey today. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
We'll be led in the Pledge of Allegiance today by our Senate page, Austin Patelin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. President, may I have the floor for a point of personal privilege?
The Senator has the floor.
Thank you, and sorry to the majority leader. I just had been talking to the Sergeant of Arms about recycling the paper we have in our baskets, and I have enlisted the support of Wendell Page to help me do that. I don't put anything on my basket that is not recyclable. I don't have old Vienna sausage cans in there either, so it's certainly something that I would like to encourage everybody else to do. So if you have an interest in starting this recycling program with me, let me know, and I'll work with the Pages to do that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Senator McKenzie will be recognized as present at this order of business. The Senate will advance to the third order of business, reading and correction of the journal.
January 30th, 2013, the Judiciary and Rules Committee reports that the Senate Journal of the proceedings of January 29th, 2013 was read and approved as corrected. Lodge Chairman.
Without objection, the journal will be filed in the office of the Secretary. Senator Davis.
Mr. President, for a personal privilege.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you. Just a quick roadmap on where we're heading today. We're going to work our way through the reading calendars before we return to the 10th order of business, only because we want to make sure we get the legislation moved around. Then we'll return to the 10th order of business. When we are in the 10th order of business, I don't know how much time we'll have, but we'll do the best we can in the management of that calendar. We will when we get there, it is our current intention to hold Gary Spackman for a couple of legislative days. just so that we can gather some additional information for floor preparation and presentation. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to advance to the sixth order of business.
Hearing no objection, the Senate will advance to the sixth order of business, reports of standing committees.
January 29, 2013, the Transportation Committee reports out Senate Bill 1007 and Senate Bill 1008 and recommend that they do pass. Bracket Chairman.
Senate Bill 1007 and 1008 will be referred to the 12th order of business, second reading calendar.
January 29, 2013, the Transportation Committee reports out Senate Bill 1006 with the recommendation that it be referred to the 14th order of business for amendment. Bracket Chairman.
There being no objection, Senate Bill 1006 will be referred to the 14th order of business for possible amendment.
January 29, 2013, the Local Government and Taxation Committee reports it has had under consideration the gubernatorial appointment of Leland G. Heinrich to the Board of Tax Appeals, term to expire June 30, 2015. The committee recommends that said appointment be confirmed by the Senate. Sit away, Chairman.
The committee report dealing with the gubernatorial appointment of Leland Heinrich will be referred to the 10th order of business and held for one legislative day.
January 29, 2013, the Local Government and Taxation Committee reports out House Bill 2, 3, and House Bill 4 and recommend that they do pass. Sit away, Chairman.
House Bill 2, House Bill 3, and House Bill 4 will be referred to the 12th order of business, second reading calendar.
January 30, 2013, the Health and Welfare Committee reports it has had under consideration the gubernatorial appointment of Sue A. Payne to the Commission for the Blind and Visually Impaired, term to expire July 1, 2015. The committee recommends that said appointment be confirmed by the Senate. Hyder, Chairman.
Committee report dealing with the gubernatorial appointment of Sue A. Payne will be referred to the 10th order of business and held for one legislative day.
There is no further business in the sixth order, Mr. President.
Senator Davis.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to advance to the eighth order of business.
Hearing no objection, the Senate will advance to the eighth order of business, messages from the governor.
January 29, 2013, the Honorable Brad Little, President of the Senate. Dear Mr. President, I have the honor to inform you that Gavin Gee of Boise, Idaho, was appointed to the Idaho Endowment Fund Investment Board to serve a term commencing April 11, 2012 and expiring April 11, 2016. Dear Mr. President, I have the honor to inform you that Gail O'Donohue of Nampa, Idaho, was appointed to the Public Charter School Commission to serve a term commencing May 12, 2012 and expiring May 12, 2016. These appointments are made subject to confirmation by the Senate, and notice of appointments is hereby given. As always, Idaho, C.L. Butch Otter, Governor of Idaho.
The gubernatorial appointment of Gavin Gee will be referred to the State Affairs Committee, and the gubernatorial appointment of Gail O'Donohue will be referred to the Education Committee, and the correspondence will be filed in the Office of the Secretary. Senator Bayer will be recognized as President of this order of business.
There is no further business in the eighth order, Mr. President.
Senator Davis.
President, I ask unanimous consent to advance to the 11th order of business.
Without objection, the Senate will advance to the 11th order of business, introduction and first reading of bills.
Mr. President.
Senator Davis.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that all bills on first reading be read by number, author, and title only in the journal show. They've been read at length.
Without objection, is so ordered.
In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1037 by Education Committee, an act relating to education, to remove language relating to fact finders, appointments and hearings, to establish provisions relating to terms of agreements, to provide that agreements shall have 1 year duration, to establish provisions relating to limitations on parties' authority. In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1038 by Education Committee, an act relating to education, to establish provisions relating to an employee's appeal to the district court, to establish provisions relating to the district court's action. In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1039 by Education Committee, an act relating to education, to revise language relating to entering into a negotiation agreement, to provide for negotiations in good faith, to define a term, to revise provisions relating to a request for negotiations. In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1040 by Education Committee, an act relating to education, to establish provisions relating to granting an employee's request for voluntary leave of absence, to establish provisions relating to the delegation of authority to place an employee on an involuntary leave of absence. In the Senate, Senate Bill 1041 by Commerce and Human Resources Committee, an act relating to state personnel, to provide for the non-competitive appointment of certain disabled veterans. In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1042 by Commerce and Human Resources Committee, an act relating to the health insurance exchange, to provide a short title, to state legislative purpose and intent, to define terms, to establish the exchange and the board. In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1043 by Transportation Committee, an act relating to motor vehicle driver's licenses and identification cards, to provide that a licensee who is a veteran may request that his or her status as such be designated on his or her driver's license. In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1044 by Transportation Committee, an act relating to motorcycles, to revise the definition of motorcycle and to make technical corrections. In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1045 by Transportation Committee, an act relating to veterans, to revise the definition of veteran. In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1046 by Local Government and Taxation Committee, an act relating to eminent domain, to provide additional restrictions on the use of eminent domain and to make a technical correction. In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1047 by Local Government and Taxation Committee, an act relating to garnishment for payment of state income taxes, to limit the amount of a garnishment for payment of state and federal income taxes.
Senate Bills 1037, 1038, 1039, 1040, 1041, 1042, 1043, 1044, 1045, 1046, and Senate Bill 1047 will be referred to the Judiciary and Rules Committee for printing.
There is no further business in the 11th order, Mr. President.
Senator Davis.
President, I ask unanimous consent the Senate return to the 10th order of business.
Hearing no objection, the Senate will return to the 10th order of business, motions and resolutions.
Mr. President.
Senator Davis.
Are we in the 10th order of business?
Senator, we are in the 10th order of business.
President, I ask unanimous consent that the gubernatorial appointment of Gary Spackman as the Director of the Idaho Department of Water Resources be held for 2 legislative days. May I explain?
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The purpose of the unanimous consent request is to allow the floor sponsor time to gather some additional information to make the presentation on the floor more meaningful.
Hearing no objection, that gubernatorial appointment will be held for 2 legislative days. Senate now has before it for final consideration the committee report dealing with the gubernatorial appointment of Albert P. Barker to the Idaho Water Resource Board. Secretary will read the report.
January 28, 2013, the Resources and Environment Committee reports it has had under consideration the gubernatorial appointment of Albert P. Barker to the Idaho Water Resource Board, term to expire January 1, 2017. The committee recommends that said appointment be confirmed by the Senate. Pierce, Chairman.
Senator Pierce.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate adopt the committee report.
Mr. President, I second the motion.
You've heard the motion. Senator Pierce is recognized to open debate.
Mr. President, thank you. Fellow Senators, we usually here in Idaho, for a large part, think of our water issues as kind of an eastern Idaho issue. That's where it seems like that most of the water fights and trouble seems to come or originate from. And we do have water on this side of the state. We just don't fight over as hard as they do on that side, I guess is what you might describe. This appointment of Albert Barker is someone who's being appointed for our side of the state in a sense. I mean, when I'm talking about the southwestern side, and he is over those divisions. Let me share a little about him. He's an attorney, and he has over 30 years of experience practicing law, principally in the area of water rights, commercial and environmental litigation, and administrative proceedings. Areas of concentration include water rights, hydropower, and environmental and natural resources, the construction industry, antitrust, trade regulations, trademarks, and insurance litigation. He attended and received a BA from Yale University. He got his Juris Doctorate from the College of William & Mary, and he's authorized to practice law in Idaho, Virginia, and the United States Supreme Court. He is also active in civic organizations, the YMCA, youth, soccer, AAU basketball, and a board member of the local charitable foundation that benefits children and the elderly. When asked why he wanted to serve on the water board, he said that his professional career has been dedicated to serving the interests of water users in his district. He currently works for water delivery organizations in the Boise, Payette, and Owyhee River basins, as well as other parts of the state. He feels he has the understanding of the needs and concerns of the water users in this district. Mr. Barker also has an extensive background in environmental laws that may impact water use, including the Clean Water Act, the Endangered Species Act, and the Superfund. He could bring in understanding of the impacts of how those laws might impact the water policy on the board. He's an excellent appointment. I recommend his appointment to the Idaho Water Resources. Debate is open.
Debate being open, is there further debate? Hearing none, Senator Pierce is recognized to close debate.
Debate is closed.
Debate being closed, the question is, shall the Senate adopt the committee report? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and the Senate has adopted the committee report. The report will be filed in the office of the Secretary, and the Governor will be so notified. The Senate now has before it for final consideration the committee report dealing with the gubernatorial appointment of John Albert Stevenson to the Idaho Water Resource Board. Secretary will read the report.
January 28, 2013, the Resources and Environment Committee reports it has had under consideration the gubernatorial appointment of John Albert Stevenson to the Idaho Water Resource Board, term to expire January 1, 2017. The committee recommends that said appointment be confirmed by the Senate. Pierce, Chairman.
Senator Cameron.
Mr. President, I move adoption of the committee report.
Mr. President, I second the motion.
You've heard the motion and the second. Senator Cameron is recognized to open debate on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a distinct honor that I get to carry the nomination of Bert Stevenson, or John Albert Stevenson as formerly written, to this appointed position. Often we get to carry appointments on the floor. That's one of the blessings and responsibilities of the Senate. But it's indeed a great blessing to be able to carry an appointment of a man that is as great and as humble as this man is. For the last several years, I've had the opportunity of serving with Representative Stevenson as a district mate. He has served as my House partner along with Representative Bell as we served for Legislative District 26. If there is a kinder, more gentler, more honest man, I don't know that I've met it. He is just the best that there could be, and I aspire to walk in his footsteps and someday maybe be like he is. He has extensive background. He has taught me so much with water. He has extensive background from being a farmer to serving on the Minidoka Irrigation District Board to working with groundwater appropriators and serving on their boards and helping create it. In fact, over my tenure here in the legislature, oftentimes if there was a water bill that he would carry on the House side, on the other side of the rotunda, I got the pleasure of carrying it on the Senate side. And so he had to teach me a lot and is still teaching me. And I'm grateful that he's still in a position where he can do so. He has served as a county commissioner. Obviously, he served as a representative, served as the chairman of the Resources Committee in the House from 2001 to 2012. Obviously, was active with Pacific Northwest Economic Region, the CSG West River Governance Committee, and many Magic Valley groundwater appropriators and many, many other important groups. He brings with him a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of respect to one of, in my opinion, the most important boards that this body has the privilege of confirming. With that, Mr. President, debate is open.
Is there further debate? Hearing none, Senator Cameron is recognized to close debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Debate's closed.
Debate being closed, the question is, shall the committee report be adopted by the Senate? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and the report has been adopted. It will be filed in the office of the Secretary, and the Governor will be so notified. The Senate now has before it for final consideration the committee report dealing with the gubernatorial appointment of Roger Chase to the Idaho Water Resource Board. Secretary will read the report.
January 28, 2013, the Resources and Environment Committee reports it has had under consideration the gubernatorial appointment of Roger Chase to the Idaho Water Resource Board, term to expire January 1, 2017. The committee recommends that said appointment be confirmed by the Senate. Pierce, Chairman.
Senator Lacey.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate adopt the committee report.
Mr. President, I second the motion.
You've heard the motion and the second. Senator Lacey is recognized to open debate on the motion.
Mr. President, we do love our water in eastern Idaho. It's very just like gold to us that they may have up in northern Idaho. I have known Roger Chase for many years. In fact, I could probably tell you a lot of stories about Roger in his younger time, but here is not the place to do that. Roger has been very involved with the community for many years, and probably for the good share of his life. He served on the Pocatello City Council. He was a legislator from 1997 to 2002, was mayor of Pocatello for 8 years, and has spent many of the last years working on water issues. Roger is a very forward thinker, and as mayor got very involved in water rights issues to secure water for Pocatello's future. He's gained much knowledge in this process and has become what I consider an expert on water issues in the state. He has been a commissioner on the Idaho State Water Resource Board since 2009 and is currently serving as chair of the commission. Besides all this, he is generally a really good guy. I support and encourage all of you to support Roger Chase as Idaho State Water Resource Board Commissioner as proposed in the committee report. The debate is open.
Debate being open, is there further debate? Hearing none, Senator Lacey is recognized to close debate.
The debate is closed.
Debate being closed, the question is, shall the Senate adopt the committee report? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The report has been adopted. It will be filed in the office of the Secretary, and the Governor will be so notified. The Senate now has before it for final consideration the committee report dealing with the gubernatorial appointment of Vince Alberti to the Idaho Water Resource Board. The Secretary will read the report.
January 28, 2013, the Resources and Environment Committee reports it has had under consideration the gubernatorial appointment of Vince Alberti to the Idaho Water Resource Board, term to expire January 1, 2017. The committee recommends that said appointment be confirmed by the Senate. Pierce, Chairman.
Senator Hyder.
Mr. President, I move the Senate adopt the committee report.
Mr. President, I second that motion.
You've heard the motion, and Senator Hyder is recognized to open debate on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my privilege, good senators, to bring forth the name of Vince Alberti to serve on the board. Vince Alberti graduated from ISU. He immediately went to work for the the Jerome Northside Canal Company, where he served for a number of years. He worked for Intermountain Gas, the public relations officer for them, and then he landed the great job of serving the Twin Falls Canal Company as their general manager for over 25 years. Vince and his wife have 3 children. Vince has always been involved in public affairs, in Rotary and other activities within the community. But the most important thing is he directed the affairs of a canal company that covers over 100 miles of canal, over thousands of miles of laterals, and he did that in a very efficient way without accident. He served on the camp board for a number of years, helping us to mitigate water in our valley, and he's just been an invaluable person to have in the Magic Valley relative to our water issues. I mentioned that I can't think of anyone that would be more qualified to serve on the Water Resources Board than Mr. Vince Alberti. With that, Mr. President, the debate is open.
Is there further debate? Hearing none, Senator Hyder is recognized to close debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The debate is closed.
Debate being closed, the question is, shall the committee report be adopted by the Senate? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. The report has been adopted. The report will be filed in the office of the Secretary, and the Governor will be so notified. Senator Davis.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to advance to the 15th order of business.
Without objection, the Senate will advance to the 15th order of business, introductions and miscellaneous business.
Mr. President, Senators, just real quickly on a couple of announcements, if I may, Mr. President.
Senator has the floor.
February 4th is coming up quickly. I know you all know that because that's my wife's birthday. And I've already taken care of my gift. I don't know if you have. But something you may want to also consider for that day is that is the requested deadline for drafting requests from our Legislative Services Office, being the 36th legislative day. So be aware of that. It's something that we try to do to help us in the management and flow of legislation, including our ability to adjourn sine die. Second, since our good President Pro Tem has other assignments today, he's asked me to recognize that we have another aging person on the floor of the Idaho State Senate today. Senator Thane is celebrating his birthday today. I have been told he is not as old as he looks, but please join me in wishing him a happy birthday today. Mr. President, Senators will soon adjourn to the hour of 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. Prior to adjournment, I ask for your introductions and announcements.
Senator Durst.
Mr. President, for announcement.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, Senators, all of you should have received a handwritten note invitation to a meeting this afternoon down in WW17. I know many of you have other conflicts, but if you'd like to stop by, you may. We're going to be hearing from Easter Seals Goodwill and the Department of Corrections on a program that they've been working on the last 3 years to help severely mentally ill inmates get the medication that they need so they stop committing crimes. I think an important thing for us to be discussing, so if you'd like to come by and say hello. I won't be providing any food, although I do have some crackers and some soda in my fridge, so if you want to get some of that, you can, but I'd be happy to have anybody come down and sit and listen in if you'd like to. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Hagedorn.
Thank you, Mr. President, for an announcement.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is just a reminder, tomorrow is the Fraternal Order of Police's Day at the Range. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the Day at the Range, the police bring in various firearms that they use and that they've used in the past and that just the general public uses, and allows people the opportunity to shoot those, get some training on those, understand what they're like and how to use them safely and properly. They're also going to have a demonstration on suppressors, which we will see some, hopefully some legislation coming soon on that. I would invite you to come down and learn about suppressors, and that suppressors aren't necessarily silencers. There will be pizza and snacks provided. That's tomorrow at Impact Guns from 6:30 to 9:30. So it will give you an opportunity if you'd like to go home and change into something a little more comfortable. Impact Guns, the address is on the social calendar. It's a good time. It's a lot of fun, and a lot of people learn some good things there. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Mr. President, I wonder if the senator from 14 will yield to an inquiry.
Senator Hagedorn, would you yield to a question?
I will yield.
Thank you.
Senator Davis.
Mr. President, good Senator, 6:30 to 9:30. Did you say, that's a.m., right?
Senator Hagedorn.
Thank you, Mr. President. No, good Senator, that's 18:30 to 21:30.
Okay, thank you.
Military time. Thank you.
Senator Getty.
Mr. President, for an announcement.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate Education Committee, we have a little engagement across the street with the deans of the colleges of education.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Davis.
Well, Mr. President, it's too bad that that event isn't earlier in the day, but we are going to adjourn now. Mr. President, I move the Senate adjourn to the hour of 11:30 a.m. tomorrow.
Mr. President, I second the motion.
Heard the motion that the Senate adjourn until 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed nay. Ayes have it. Senate will stand adjourned.